Hello and welcome to Spotlight. Joining me on the show today is National Award-winning music artist Bindu Malini Narayan Swamy. Bindu is a singer, composer, music director, an actor, and a graphic designer. She has a unique voice and sensibility that we most recently heard in the popular series The Family Man. Welcome to the show, Bindu.
Hi Sandhya, hi.
Bindu, you hail from a family of musicians, and yet you didn't choose to get into music right in the beginning. You actually went on to train as a graphic designer. Why did you make that choice? And when did you choose to become a full time musician?
Yeah, music seemed to be the immediate thing, around in my family. Everybody was into music. So it was too logical a step. And also, I think what was beginning to happen was I was showing a lot of promise right at the younger age. And suddenly it looked like everybody else started deciding what my life is going to be. I started getting these doubts of, am I supposed to be in this because I can do this or because I want to be in this. And at the same time, I was very, very keen to be a painter. Somehow, my sister's sketchbooks and drawing books used to really inspire me a lot. So I was constantly painting and drawing when I was younger. And dance, again, my aunts were dancers. So it was really like I didn't want to choose. In fact, I wanted to do all of it. And I wanted to be playing all the time, be it sports or something. So that's what I think as a youngster, I was just really loving all of this. But later on, I really started feeling the pressure of having to prove, having to display, having to showcase, having to go deeper, and too many things suddenly, which I felt I was not ready for. And slowly, I started carving out other spaces. Drawing, painting is a more solitary exploration, and then theater and dance involve more physical expansion and engaging with groups in a different way where the spotlight is not on me. So I think all that was also happening, not that I didn't like spotlight, but it was confusing. So I was trying to make my own way through different arts. It went on, and I thought music has now become home also. It's a thing which I know if nothing else works, I can always come back to. Whereas if it's art or anything else, I will have to go seeking it. And I really wanted to see if I can do something with it because music really felt like it's not going anywhere from me. I know it's there with me. So the seeking was outside,
Right.
and it went on, and later I realized, okay, if I was a painter, I guess life would have been different, painter or a sculptor or something else. But somehow I started moving into the commission space of art, the design, and becoming a graphic designer meant I was pretty much stuck to my computer. Also that I was just moving from one commission to another, one design brief to another. It started making me having questions about what is it that I really want to do. So even if I was fairly good at it, I realized the passion was missing. In music the passion was there, but I think it was too passionate that I was having a lot of emotional upheavals with it. So I didn't know how to strike this balance, and of course everything kind of settled when towards the end of my stint at the National Institute of Design, where I was doing my second post graduation in graphic design as such. I met Ustad Abdul Rashid Khan in Calcutta. So once I sort of met him, it became about being able to just train under him.
So you made the
Uh,
switch from Carnatic classical to Hindustani at that time, is it?
it's interesting that I was drawn to Hindustani in a different way from Carnatic at that point. When I went to NID, I think that was the first time I was away from home, and it was a time I got with myself. My practice of even Carnatic deepened because suddenly I realized I'm not doing anything here because somebody else is expecting me to do or asking me to do. What I do is what I feel like doing with it. So my practice became a lot more sincere, and the engagement was just me and the art. At the same time, Hindustani started pulling me in a very different way, and I wanted to jump into that space of Manodharma, which I was struggling with in Carnatic at that point. I didn't know how to crack this Manodharma element. I could present compositions very well, which I still do. But slowly, I'm breaking into improvisation. Then Hindustani sort of really grabbed me. I think I got locked when I met my guru, Ustad Abdul Rashid Khan. And after that, it became about actually that space of exchange. I was ready to do anything just to be around this person and be an observer, being an absorber also. It was not that he need not give me talim directly. I was just ready to be that person sitting there and taking in all the whatever was going on with him around him.
Like a sponge, just absorb
Yeah,
all the music.
yeah. Music, his presence, his being, his prayers, his just who he was.
So can
So
I ask you now to sing a couple of lines from one of your favorite Kabir dohas?
जनम ते मानुस होत, जनम ते मानुस होत, सब यार जानत संसार, बन्यक सूद करवाहे, बन्यक सूद करवाहे, कहे कबीर पुकार, बन्यक सूद करवाहे, कहे कबीर पुकार.
Beautiful. So moving, Bindu.
We know Kabir was very, very politically outspoken for his times. And he kind of really made us all think about what rut are we stuck in. So many times it's internal, and many times his commentary is on the society. So in this, he's simply saying we're all born equal as a manus, a human. But this whole Baniya, Shudra, the whole caste divisions are made by us, is what he's saying. We're just born humans, that's it. And these typecasting is all done by us. The Doha's very simply just saying that.
Right. So that leads me to my next question. All artists have a choice of locking themselves away with their music or with their creativity, whatever creative space they are in. Or they can use that as a medium to reflect what's happening in the world around, and to try to affect it and bring about a change either by creating awareness or by actually leading to action. So, are you one of the former or the latter?
I'm a bit of both. I think we need both. At least for me, I need both. In the sense, I can't run away from my practice. The practice is not just about improving the skills, which is also there, but through that, the expression evolves, the possibilities evolve. That whole engagement with the craft is to kind of get better at it, but also to constantly go beyond your knowledge. The knowledge of, okay, you know this much. Why do you know? Because you've heard it, or it's repeated, or you've created it. The familiarity is what. So there's always that eagerness to step to see what is at the periphery of it, or just lying beyond that practice. In fact, that is the most difficult part of me, but I'm improving in that. That space is also equally scary, Sandhya, because I think it's not totally rosy. You go in with not knowing what you want to expect out of yourself. Are you going to be kind to yourself, or are you going to really be demanding? And you have to face your demons all the time. So that's that space, and it's in fact easy to run away from there. To get in there is difficult, and at the same time, I'm somebody who is vulnerable to everything happens inside me, around me, the kind of person I am, the kind of a lot of nonsense that even I end up creating in my own life, or how I hurt people, my ego, everything, So art becomes that space where sometimes I can find answers, I can find expressions, or sometimes that's the place where I can also kind of go and park myself when I'm unable to articulate something. And it's a beautiful way to also start moving towards that change, to experiment. What is it? If I'm not this, what am I then, or what can I be? Art really, I think, holds that more safe space for you to move through, to get to wherever you want, as an individual or as a community. Actually, I must say that that way I have to thank Bangalore. I feel very lucky to be in Bangalore, where the artist community really is active about hearing these voices within and outside. There are conversations, there are explorations, and it's not about the product, it's not about succeeding or failing, but you can have these conversations. That kind of opening also is important for the artist to say, okay, when I step out from this space of mine, my space of practice, or like you said, if I don't shut myself and I actually can step out, there are these hands that hold you, or there are these ears that listen to you, or there are these people. So that, I think, is super healthy in Bangalore. Maybe I would have had my own silent trips with all this, but here I can have conversations, and also then create and collaborate, not just artistically. Like the Threshold is, I think, a great example of where it just started from conversations. The art was a given, the music was a given, we knew we are eventually going to create something with it, but how are we going to apply this craft, and for what reason? Yeah, that was a long answer.
I'm really happy that you performed with Pallavi. You created this, really, I would call it a masterpiece, a Threshold. And I remember I kept asking Pallavi, so what is it you're going to present? I need a small note on it because we have to describe it in the agenda for the festival. And she said, I don't know how to describe it. All I can tell you is it's very different. It was beautiful. It was really nice. No, I want to get to the point where you decided to become a music composer and director, and and from the very first movie that you did, Harikatha Prasanga, and that's a very very sensitive film. And then you've gone on to do Aruvi, and the one that won you the award most recently, Natacharami. They're all very female centric, and you would have expected this question for me because of the Under the Rangering Women's Cultural Festival coming from that space. So, do you think that women directors or women themed, creators are drawn to you and they request you to compose the music and direct it?
It's a very lovely question. One is that the film as a medium of expression and exploration is really in a very 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 exciting time now, and a lot of amazing filmmakers and technicians and composers, artists, everybody, we are all, I think, we have access to express through films. And it must have been buried in me to see, am I made of that material who can be a music director, a composer? I come from the city of Isaignani Ilayaraja and Rahman and many, 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 many fantastic music directors, top class in the world, not just in India. So I'm like, wow, it's another world, and thankfully it happened. And thanks to my NID training and all that, where we are exposed to film in a very, very serious way, that, I could also kind of really understand filmmaking as a subject or a medium. I could bring all those learnings of design, of communication, everything, and my own music into all this. Of course, I've done so far, whatever is out there are female centric. One, I guess there are very few women composers, and therefore that seems to be like a logical thing of, let's have the music be painted by a woman. She'll bring in a different sensibility, is something. So it's actually great, no matter what, the fact that more work is happening, and more women are getting engaged, not just as musicians but as editors, as directors. It's just superb that, all these gender lines are blurring in the industry. So that's the logical thing to say. But it's not that I want to do only women centric work. That's not the thing. It's just that if the script is great and the story is very beautiful, and I have a feeling that there is something that I would be able to contribute to that whole storytelling and everything. Because sometimes I know maybe I may not be able to deliver this also. So it's not that I take up everything. Having said that, the next exciting film that's now going to all the festivals is a film called Setuman in Tamil. It's a film, the director's name is also Tamil, and it's a film made out of a short story by Perumal Murugan.
Okay.
It's got nothing to do with gender or women. It's actually got to do with food politics and caste. And it's very subtly done. I really love the film, and I'm very glad I got to work on it. I was one of the last people to join on board for that film. By the time I joined the team, the film was already shot and the first draft of the edit was also ready. I actually got to see the film before I jumped in. And once I saw it, it really shook me, and I knew these kind of films are not made every day. These kind of opportunities don't come. So I said I can't miss this opportunity. So and it even won the best film in IFF LA, the Los Angeles Indian Film Festival recently, as the best film. So I'm glad that, like you said, the common question is that am I only taking women centric themes? It's broadening now.
That's good. I mean, this is how where we have to break the invisible glass ceiling, right? It's not only women who will give women, opportunities to grow, but the world is ours to take. That should be the mindset for everybody. I want to ask
True.
you about this very interesting project that you've been doing in the last few months. Here for you, you're offering your music for people as a kind of a balm. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, we know that by the third week of April, India was hit very badly, especially Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore. And we all lost a lot of things. We lost sleep, we lost people, we lost health, we lost hope, so many things. I knew I couldn't do the volunteering work. It does really demand a lot of emotional and psychological grit. And I myself was like with struggling with my own post COVID things. And at the same time, I asked my doctor friends, saying, is there something that I can do for you? And one of my very dear friends, she said, just send me a recording every day. A little bit of your voice, I think, will give me 20 minutes of sleep or an hour of sleep. And she used to say, I managed to sleep for 3 hours today. It started like that. And then I said, okay, I'm recording and sending this every day. How about then having a fixed time? Because sometimes it was so bad at that time that I realized we are not allowing ourselves to take a break from all this to even process what's going on. So I said, okay, let me have a fixed time for that then. And that's how the 8:45 to 9 happened, because by then you have really had a long day. You can take a 15-minute break. Again, the night is even more demanding. So just a place to rest. It's like a tree. You can rest under the shade of that tree and then get up and walk again. So this became a space where everybody started coming. It's a silent space. You don't have to show your face. You don't have to do anything. You just have to listen and leave. That's it. So I call it Here For You because we are all here for each other. At the same time, come here for yourself. Give yourself that 15 minutes. That's how it started, and it helped me process grief. It helped me process what's going on. So it became something important for my own self. There could be a day when I'm too broken to sing, or maybe I don't have enough breath in me to be able to sing. So maybe there could be a day when I'm unable to do this, and it's okay, you know.
Tell me how this Sat Sat project is coming about and tell us a little bit of the background of this.
So Sat Sat is a very interesting project. It's called Music Across Waters. So it's been a 3 year long collaboration or conversations with musicians from China and Hong Kong. Not just musicians, even a poet and instrumentalists. So this has been curated by Tejaswini Niranjana. Started off as one of the artists, one of the musicians there, and it started in 2017. So it was a 2017, 2018, 2019 work where over time we built compositions through conversations, jamming, and exchange. Like there's a Cantonese lyricist. He sent us his Cantonese lyrics and we tried to compose a Cantonese song in the Indian way. And the next time he sent us poems, we said, okay, this time we will send you melodies, you write for that. So we are actually singing Cantonese Bandish in the Hindustani style. And the third time, what we said, okay, now let's push this a little further. We are sending you melodies, you're sending poems back to us. Now we will translate it into one of our Indian languages and sing it in the same original tune that we first sent you. The other was where we engaged with a Yanching player
Okay.
and we created, so there was myself, Rutuja Lad, and Omkar Havaldar. We are the three musicians who went from India. Ip Kim Ho, Zen, and Jelai were these three musicians from Hong Kong and China. And there was Yufai, Chow Yufai, who was the Cantonese lyricist. It was about meeting in a physical space and seeing what kind of musical dialogue we can have. What are the similarities? Where are the differences? And so, all this put together, finally, all these 3 years of back and forth, we have two big albums that are going to get released towards the end of this year. They're called Resemblance, and it's called Hong Kong chapter and Shanghai chapter.
Wonderful. You also have some interesting story about this song that was picked up by this very popular series, right? The Family Man. I really like that song, but you said there was an interesting backstory to that.
Yeah, Unaravaitai, it's funny because actually I composed it in 2016. I had met Manoj Kumar, the writer, the lyricist of this song, in 2016, and he said, I love your music. I have some poems. I have written down some lyrics. Would you like to compose? I said, sure, give it. And I had written it down. You must have heard the song. So it's very melodious, soothing, all that. But at the same time, the backdrop for this is the futility of war and the devastation of war. It talks about how your land is gone, your motherland is gone. It's not what it used to be, and everything is destroyed. You don't know what's whether you're going to live, whether you're going to have a tomorrow, and even if you had one, what is the promise the land is holding? In spite of all this, all of us love our land, the soil that we come from. Somehow that is, so this song talks about that. So I wrote it. Then I had always wanted to collaborate with somebody called Prashant Techno, a wonderful producer, arranger, programmer, musician from Chennai. So I said, hey, I have this composition. Would you like to work on it? He said, sure, send it across. And then he started working with it. It took another shape. Then I went and approached Prakash Sontake sir because we wanted him to add his magic, and this song needed a lot of other layers cutting through to kind of portray the inner turmoils also. So he kind of really did a very surreal treatment in the interludes. And much later, Manoj Kumar is a co-writer of Family Man, in fact. And he had told me that the people in Family Man actually loved this song. I said, okay, fine, that's very nice. And I really forgot about it. Then last year during lockdown, I said, hey, there is this song sitting with me complete and everything. And I called him to say, can I just put it out? It's just lying with me. And let's just put it out. Why should we hold it back? Went and asked them, saying, there is a song. And they said, yeah, we need it. And then let's have it in the thing. And that's how it kind of came in, because the story of war, the story of Sri Lanka, everything is connected to that song anyway, already. And that was also one source of, I can't even say inspiration. That's another underlying layer in the whole thing. So that song was just apt for Family Man.
You remember enough of it to just hum it?
Oh, yeah, sure. உணர வைத்தாய் என்னை உயர வைத்தாய் உணர வைத்தாய் என்னை உயர வைத்தாய் நினைக்கையிலே உணர வைத்தாய். உயிர் நீங்கும் வரை உனை மறவேன். உயிர் நீங்கும் வரை உனை மறவேன். உடல் உன்னுள் தானதை நான் அறிவேன். உடல் உன்னுள் தானதை நான் அறிவேன். உணர வைத்தாய், என்னை உயர வைத்தாய். உன்னை உள்ளத்திலே நான் நினைக்கையிலே உணர வைத்தாய். And the last line I'll just sing because I think that's துயரம் தாங்கி சோர்ந்த தோள்கள், துயரம் தாங்கி சோர்ந்த தோள்கள் என்றோ ஒரு நாள் நிமிர்ந்து விடும். துயரம் நீங்கும் அந்நாளை எண்ணி, துயரம் நீங்கும் அந்நாளை எண்ணி காத்திருக்கின்றேன். நான் காத்திருக்கின்றேன்.
Blown away. It's just mind blowing. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Thanks, Sandhya.
It's really lovely. I know you also collaborate sometimes with your husband Vasu, and at times with his brother, your brother-in-law Raghu. Finding it difficult to be in a family full of musicians? Again, you created a new family full of musicians. Isn't that funny?
It's funny, and I guess it was needed because there was a way of engaging with the music and what music meant in our day-to-day life and how we were. That was a different thing, you know. And the whole struggle, whether this can be mainstream or a hobby or a rigorous practice, and how to keep your family running. My mother, as much as she was a musician, she had a full-time job, and it was very difficult for her to kind of manage the show. So I could see whether will I be able to make a living out of this was also another thing. And the whole thing about looking for your identity and all that. So when I found, when I met Vasu, who was already this rock star rebel who could express everything about what he felt about society, what he felt about himself, how he was using the power of music to boldly voice in an impactful way, really caught my attention. I was like, man, this guy is up to something, you know. And I was in awe of how he had that conviction on music, in music to say the power of music is this. It's not just about you perfecting one thing after the other. It's about what kind of an impact. So he was a living example for that for me, and Raghu for that matter, you know, where he said, okay, I want to break these shackles for myself and find my own self in a different way. They are living examples of people who really started taking up this art form because that's their passion, and making it into profession, not just hobby. So if I could make this leap, it's because they showed it to me by living it on a day-to-day basis. And also I knew what I was getting into, because it's not easy to do this. You really don't know where you're headed, you don't know what's there waiting for you, what's your tomorrow like, but you can't be without doing this. That's the simple answer. So after a point, I had to accept my reality that if I don't engage in music, I'm really not being fair to myself. That way, I think it's great that the training to take it as a profession and be professional about it came from Vasu and Raghu. And Vasu's at it. The drive he has to constantly push his boundaries of learning all by himself, and again and again stumbling, rising up, changing himself, adapting. These can't be taught verbally, actually. So it's nice to learn all these life lessons.
How is it to collaborate with him?
Difficult. No, because it's just that we are partners, right? So it's never that easy. We have to find our ways to see how we are as people, how we are as collaborators, how we approach music, what are our creative processes, creative ideas, and all that. But I think we are doing very well now. But it took us some time to get there, to really understand ourselves and how to kind of manage the other. So it's fun. It's fun, and we are musicians, but we really have different takes from it, different outlooks, different processes. So to make sense of this takes time.
Yeah, I think it's all a question of evolving in a relationship, and the fact that you're also artists together in the same profession, I think it adds a little more excitement and challenge to what you're going through in life. So tell me, what is your main focus now in the next few months?
Wow. Okay. So Surya Project is also something which was a crowd-funded project. We produced it, if I'm not wrong, in 2015, and with a kora player from Belgium. His name is Vincent. He's a doctor turned musician, and Pauline, who's accordion player. So they both created the material called the Surya Project. It's about this person or this character called Surya, and it's really beautiful. It he wrote stories. It's a 13 chapter story, and for each chapter he conceived a musical composition. And another wonderful artist called Shrivi Kalyan came up with these really fantastic paintings for each of those chapter. So it was a multi-disciplinary, multi-medium imagination by Vincent. And Surya Project, it's a very dream fantasy story, but very real to each of us, about that voice inside us which kind of guides us, and how you sometimes lose it, and you're struggling your entire life to just find that back. And he brings in grace into it, and it's really fantastic. And the landscape is the desert, so it's both bleak and bizarre, and there is grace. Apart from that, through these lockdown, I've gone back to teaching music, and that's something that's been growing well, and that engagement is very important for my practice also. And I collaborated with Vijayini Satpathy, and that was another beautiful experience. And I really look forward to more things, collaborating with her on more. I will be composing for a few documentary films. And if you get time, watch Coral Woman. It's a beautiful film by Priya Tusheri, and that talks about the health of our ocean and the corals, or the way they are missing or going missing. It's really a fantastic film. I can send you the link. I made the music for that, and last month in May we had a Karnataka specific, art specific virtual tour, ocean tour, where we spoke about what's happening in Karnataka, ocean and in the land, and how does art influence all of us in terms of our consciousness about everything. So that was great. There are some pet projects brewing about creating children's songs on endangered species and animals, to bring, first to start making habitats for all these animals in first our consciousness, collective consciousness, and hopefully that building to conserving, bringing back their real habitats. So that's another pet project that's brewing. There's a film on the father of pottery in India, going to be making music for that. And of course, Desdemona Rupakam, you saw it. We're
Yes.
waiting for us to work further into it and make it better and perform it, take it to places. That's the beauty of theater. It keeps growing, and you have to be at it, and it gets better and better, and keep working at it.
So you look like you have a lot of projects to work on, very different, very exciting, very challenging. I'm glad you could join Spotlight with Sandhya today. Thank you, Bindu.
Thank you, Sandhya. Thank you so much.
Do subscribe to the Raintree Media channel on YouTube. Like, comment, and share the videos.